Hey, what is up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. I'm about to give blood at Blood Source here in Sacramento, California. Just as a small little thing out there, if you guys are available to give blood, it's always a fun thing to do it. I always do it as often as they let me. I think you can give blood every 2 months. It might be every 3 months. I just have them call me and I tell them I'm going to come do it on my next day off. They'll fill you up with free drinks, granola bars, cookies, goldfish crackers. They give you a whole bunch of snacks once you're done. They'll make sure that you get all replenished and you're good to go for your day. I always feel good about myself whenever I do it. So whenever you can, make sure you go out of the way. No Mercy is going to be coming to you from Sacramento, California here on Sunday. They've got 8 matches that are billed as it happens, 7 of them that are announced. One of them, you only know somebody who's going to be competing in it. I will honestly tell you that I think there's 3 matches that people actually care about. There's 3 matches that I actually would enjoy talking about. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't been as big a fan of WWE since the brand split. I think that honestly, in time, maybe it's a way that you can make bigger stars. But with Raw and with SmackDown, you're filling up these pay-per-views with shows filled with matches that are guys that you wouldn't even want to see on Raw and or SmackDown for the last 2 years. I know they're bringing up a lot of people, and I know that maybe once a year goes by, maybe we'll get used to this, and maybe the guys lower on each of the cards will mean something because of the fact they're getting pay-per-view matches and they're getting pay-per-view wins. But as of right now, when I see a pay-per-view match of Swagger versus Corbin, of Nikki versus Carmella, I see Kurt Hawkins versus To Be Determined. These are matches that I wouldn't want to see on a normal pay-per-view that had both brands on it. It just is filler for Raw and SmackDown. If these matches were on Monday Night Raw, and you had the complete roster on there, you would have fans chanting boring. They'd be wanting to change the channel to see what's going on with Monday Night Football. As of right now, it just doesn't seem like entertaining television for Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-view. I'm not going to be going to the pay-per-view, not for that reason. I would have loved to go to this pay-per-view if things would have been different, if my buddy Troy didn't have to go to a barbecue to see his aunt, that he only gets to see every couple of years. I'd probably be at this show. I was making plans to try and get off of work as early as I can, which was probably going to be 5:30. I hopefully would have been at the show by 6 o'clock. The Golden One Center is really close to where I work. I only have to jump on the freeway, and probably the hardest part about it would have been finding a place to park. I still have to put up that video. Last week I went down and checked out the stadium. Maybe I'll upload that video before I upload this video, but I don't know. I look at this show and I honestly don't think that it looks that spectacular. We'll start off with Jack Swagger against Baron Corbin. Honestly, in my mind, I love Jack Swagger. I love the fact that he jumped from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown, and they immediately tried to make it look like Jack Swagger was a hot free agent, that he was a hot commodity, that he had jumped over. I think a lot of people had sort of forgotten that the night before he had lost to Jinder Mahal on Monday Night Raw, and Jinder Mahal hasn't been seen on television since. But Jack Swagger put over Jinder Mahal, and now he's going over to SmackDown, and he looks like he's getting a pretty credible push. He got a win over Baron Corbin on SmackDown due to Baron Corbin maybe not tapping out. They're building up a storyline that Corbin is pissed that he lost to Swagger, so they're doing the rematch. Honestly, in my mind, I think people would have been upset if this was a pre-show match. I know that I have to sort of get off of that hot topic of trying to think that what a pay-per-view would be like if there was both brands, but I don't think a lot of people care about this match. I'm cheering for Jack Swagger, but due to the fact that I understand WWE and their 50-50 booking technique, Baron Corbin's got to get the win in this match, and I bet you more than likely, once it comes down to the next SmackDown branded pay-per-view, we see these guys going at it again for the 3rd match. From there, we'll jump to Becky versus Alexa Bliss. This is, of course, going to be for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This one I can see going 50-50, going either other way. Either they're going to build Becky Lynch as trying to be a major star for the women's division on SmackDown, which, only has a few credible girls that could be champion, and Becky wasn't even one that I thought was going to happen. I really thought they would put the belt back on a returning Nikki Bella. But even Nikki Bella is in a confusing feud going up against Carmella. When I look at Nikki versus Carmella, honestly, I think they have the roles reversed. They have Carmella trying to be this heel, but it just seems that it would be a slam dunk easy thing for Carmella just to be a girl to go out there and get over. They already have one girl who's hot as hell, just like Carmella is, who's playing an evil villain that plays the role pretty nice. I think she does it better, and that's Alexa Bliss. Carmella, to me, should be the babyface. Nikki Bella should be the heel. They already love to boo Nikki Bella because of the fact she's involved with John Cena. You should just play off of that fact. Nikki was one of the hottest heels that the women's division had. She carried the division for well over a year with Team Bella. And even though she's not going to have Brie or Alicia Fox in her corner, I think that she's been able to look at as a credible wrestling women's champion that can have a good match, especially with better competition in there like Becky Lynch, and can have credible matches. I'm going to take Nikki Bella to get the win over Carmella. I just think that, honestly, they'd be able to get a lot more out of these girls, that they would be able to switch their roles. Carmella be the babyface, who people love to chant for in NXT. I don't want to just stick her with Enzo and Cass. I think that she could be a standalone girl. She did that on NXT as well. Although sometimes when I watch Carmella wrestle in NXT, she would be with Enzo and Cass, and she would be babyface, and then when I saw her wrestle singles matches on her own, it seemed like she was a heel. But when I first started watching Enzo and Cass, I looked at them and I thought they were awesome heels that just were getting cheered all the time because of the fact they had the entrance that was a lot like the New Age Outlaws that everybody cheered along with. I'm going to take Nikki to get the win in her match. I'm going to take Becky Lynch to get the win over Alexa Bliss. But honestly, I feel like this match is a match that you could use a flip of the coin with. It could go either way. And I just think that either one of these girls could take the belts here. It just matters what SmackDown wants to do. Do they want to build a credible champion like Becky Lynch? Not so much to make her like not to make her like a Charlotte Flair, but make it where she can stand up to these girls and be a credible champion and be a Ronda Rousey type girl who is going to hold the title for a long time. And that's a horrible analogy since Ronda Rousey lost the title and is no longer the UFC Women's Champion, and she isn't fighting anymore. But we'll go to Slater and Rhino going up against the Usos. Honestly, in my mind, it sucks that American Alpha is not on this card. I think that they're going to be involved with this match somehow, but I think that there's not going to be a way for them to try and not make the Usos win. I think that they'll interfere in this match. They'll be involved, but I think the Slater and Rhino I think the Slater and Rhino storyline is done. Honestly, in my mind, it would have made better television if Rhino would have cost Slater his job, and then they would have split them up, and then it would have been Slater versus Rhino. You could have continued on Heath Slater trying to get his SmackDown contract, which I think was one of the most entertaining storylines that was on the show. And keep that going along. The Usos winning the titles, being able to be heel champions, standing up to American Alpha. I think that's going to be hot for the tag team division. We saw the Hype Bros win a match on SmackDown and immediately be stared down by the Ascension. We haven't seen the Ascension be a feared team since they were in NXT, so it's nice to see them getting heated up on SmackDown. This tag team division is one of the must-see things that's going on SmackDown, and I really, really like it. From there we go to Hawkins is going to fight somebody. I'm 50-50 on this one. I don't really know what to think. He could either fight a jobber and just go out there and win his match, or they could have somebody debut and bring somebody in from NXT, or maybe bring in a past name, like all the names that they thought was coming in. Like, remember when Shelton Benjamin was going to be going to SmackDown, but then he, I believe, tore his rotator cuff and had to have shoulder surgery, and then it ended up canceling his WWE deal. You could have somebody come in and just squash Hawkins. For then you wonder why they wasted 3 weeks of the build on Hawkins having those vignettes, which is really weird because they don't do those for anybody. But then again, if you watch NXT, we saw weeks of the build up for that new guy, and then Samoa Joe just came out and squashed him during his entrance just to prove his point that he wanted to beat up Nakamura. So From there, we go to Miz versus Ziggler, which is probably the one match that most people are talking about more than anything else on No Mercy, is the fact that, if Ziggler loses, he's forced to retire. The Miz keeps his Intercontinental Championship. And Ziggler's already been told you can't come back under a mask. You can't wrestle for Monday Night Raw. I don't really know what they're going to do, unless it's something like they did with Stevie Richards, where he was forced off of Monday Night Raw, and he was only allowed to compete on Sunday Night Heat, which was probably one of the most dumbest angles of all time, but it's where he really deserved to be. But then again, Stevie Richards embraced being on Sunday Night Heat, and if you watch those shows back in the day, Stevie Richards basically was the Stone Cold Steve Austin of Sunday Night Heat. But I'm going to pick Ziggler to get the win here. I don't really think that Ziggler is going to be walking away from Raw. It just doesn't make sense to me, because they'll build this up as a big win for Ziggler, and he's going to bring credibility to the Intercontinental Championship. And Miz versus Ziggler reminds people of Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart at SummerSlam 1991. And next thing you know, Ziggler will go out and he'll lose a non-title match on SmackDown, and then he'll lose another non-title match the next week to set up a feud for the next pay-per-view down the road in 4 weeks. So I just don't really think that they're ever really going to get behind Ziggler. We've seen him cash in at the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 29. That was supposed to be the start of him being a main eventer. We saw him beat John Cena at TLC. We saw him be the Ultimate Survivor at Survivor Series a few years ago when he pinned Seth Rollins. We saw him win the ladder match against Luke Harper, and then he became the Intercontinental Champion, and then he was supposed to have that belt for, years upon years up on end to really bring credibility to being a hard worker with the Intercontinental Championship, and that never happened. So I don't see it. I pick Ziggler to get the win over Miz. Orton versus Wyatt, to me, is a match that I really just don't care about. I think this was supposed to happen a month ago, but Randy Orton wasn't ready to go due to his concussion from the SummerSlam match. I'm guessing now that he's ready to go. We haven't really seen him be really offensive on Raw. On SmackDown, but we have seen him hit some RKOs here and there, and we've heard stories of him in RKOs on house shows, so hopefully we'll be able to see this match, and hopefully they won't be trapping each other in boxes backstage playing hide-and-go-seek. I pick Orton to get the win here. I feel bad for Bray, but I don't think I'll ever pick Bray to win a match on pay-per-view. Just the way it is. And in the main event, we got AJ Styles going up against Dean Ambrose and Cena. I'm picking AJ Styles to get the win here. I think he is the champion upon champions. I think that he is really bringing a lot of credibility to that WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I don't want to say that Dean Ambrose was a bad champion, but I don't think he really has any credible wins. He did beat Cena straight up clean on SmackDown just a few weeks ago. Probably the biggest win of his career, but I don't know, it wasn't a big moment, I guess you can say. Of course, that set up the one-on-one match between AJ and Ambrose. Cena did get involved, but AJ was able to beat Ambrose. That set up the three-way. Cena is said to be leaving after No Mercy to go fill that I Want to Be a Marine Fox television show, so he's not going to be around. I wish we would have got just AJ versus Cena one-on-one, but then again, what are you going to do with Dean Ambrose? You going to put him up against Baron Corbin? I don't know. So it's just the one bad thing about what's going down. But the only thing I can think of is that next month we're going to get Ambrose versus AJ again, because I don't see how you shake up the card unless you put AJ against Orton. Might be a good match. So we'll see what goes down on Sunday. Peace out. See you guys down the road.